drawn to death.
Shut up!
We're still vassals, slaves, we're just in prettier cages.
Oh my goodness. We're only getting started. Good evening, I'm Megan Wolf.
And I'm Jeremy Dawson. Our main headlines tonight.
Studying starting!
Every single one of you's a bit Jesus.
What a wild ride this has been. Well, that's a very blunt question.
Advance is lying to you. Friends.
That's all coming up on tonight's National Nightly News.
Hi, David, I have a call for you. I'm just putting it through. All right, mate. Dave here. Listen, now, I know you've only come in to clean up the place, but I've got a bit caught up, so, you're going to have to run the news tonight. Now, don't worry, it's not hard, and I'm going to stay on the phone and help you. First, I'm going to give you a quick tour of the broadcast room, so if you're not doing it already, look forwards towards all those screens. Right, look up at the top. That coloured bar is your audience. You want to keep the viewers going up and not down. Underneath that, you've got the screens. The one on the right is the broadcast screen. That's what the viewers are seeing at home. It's only a couple of seconds behind the master screen there in the middle. That's the one you control. Now, the four small screens on the left show the different signals coming from the studio, and you can choose between them using the numbered buttons on the vision mixer at the bottom left. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it and you'll pick it up in no time. Now, have a look to your left. These plugs control everything in the studio. I've left them set up for you, so provided you haven't fiddled with them, all you have to do now is throw the master trip switch and we're in business. Once you've got the power on, face the front again. You can see on the broadcast screen that we're in the end titles for the show before us. Fortunately, they go on for fucking ages, so there's plenty of time for me to explain. Oh, right, okay, they're over, so we haven't got long now till the broadcast. Right, quickly, mate, look down under the desk. You can see a load of videotapes on the left. They're your adverts. Pick any three and load them into the machines on the right. When you've done that, look up to the front again. Oh, that didn't actually take as long as I thought it would. So we've got a few seconds. I suppose I ought to warn you that tonight is, as I'm sure you know, election night, which means if we make any mistakes, by which I mean if you make any mistakes, we're getting fired. So stay on your toes, mate. You should be getting the signal any second now. When you get the signal, select screen 1 with the vision mixer and we're ready to go.
Oh,
Prawn and mayonnaise?
You know, CV makes me come out in postures.
Yeah, I thought it might increase our viewing figures.
Every day. You offer me prawns every day.
10 seconds, everybody. That's how I show love.
You're trying to kill me.
And yet you persist, going in 5, 4.
But now, it's time to join Jeremy Donaldson for the
Good
National
evening,
Night News.
I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Good evening. Our main stories tonight.
Okay, we're all good. Next is going to be the throw to the news titles on screen 2. There'll be a countdown, but I'll count you in as well. Just relax, mate. It's all gravy.
Honest Andy's totally independent and corners the flowered market. Top chat. Sports fans everywhere celebrate as popular footballer Johnny Hansmead wins Sports Personality of the Year. And a spoonful of sugar Meghan will be chatting with movie star Lawrence Blunderclatch about his new movie, The Medicated. And, of course, we'll be going live to Advance headquarters to hear what the leaders of this fledgling party have to say on their historic...
Right, button 2 in 3, 2, 1. Lovely, mate. Next thing is the throwback to Jeremy with button 1 when that globe in the middle shrinks down and vanishes. Here it comes. Switch to screen 1. Now, lovely, mate.
But first, the votes are in and it's a decisive win for Advance.
We often get a bit of interference around this time, mate. Keep your eye on that machine at the bottom right and use the slider that's flashing there to move the wave up and down, keeping the green bit in the white bit.
But critics have accused him of a severe lack of actual policies and of being deliberately vague. The opposition parties have all conceded defeat to Advance's overwhelming mandate, but have yet to appear publicly. However, former Home Secretary...
Right, it's going well. All you've got to do now is play the advert at the end of the segment. Make sure you don't play it too early or we'll all get fired. Now, the clock at the top is counting you down to the advert. When it reaches 0, press one of the 3 play ad buttons over there at the bottom right. I normally play the first one at the first break and so on, but you can play them in any order you want. I'll count you into it as well, but keep your eye on the clock.
To hear the co-leader's acceptance speech.
And 3, 2, 1, advert.
1 minute back, everybody.
Jeremy, I need you to fill after the ads.
What? Why?
Wanker Snatch is running late.
I thought I'd ask him about the election.
Personally, I wouldn't try to confuse him with any big words.
That's the same policy we use with you.
I thought that was our little secret.
It's all right, he doesn't remember anything I tell him.
I'm deeply uncomfortable with your burgeoning friendship. No.
Wicked, we made it to the first ad break. You're doing great, mate. But this is where it starts getting a bit trickier. This next sequence is what we call a multi-cam sequence, because you're going to be cutting between multiple cameras to keep things interesting. A lot of it's down to personal taste, but here's 3 good rules of thumb. 1, try and keep the shot on whoever is doing the talking. 2, don't stay on the same shot for too long. 10 seconds at the most. So if you're on the person who's talking, try and throw in the odd reaction shot or pull out to the wide shot for a bit just to keep it interesting. 3, don't stay on reaction shots for too long. A couple of seconds is usually enough. Then the audience want to see who's doing the talking, yeah? Stick to these rules and you'll be fine. It's not as complicated as it sounds. You've seen programmes on television, haven't you? Make it look like those. Might as well get screen 1 selected now. No need to wait for the broadcast to start. Try and stay ahead, mate.
Quiet in the studio.
Thank you so much.
10 seconds, everybody. Get match fit.
With Johnny Hands, please.
Going in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to the National Nightly News. Later we'll be hearing from shock election winners Advance. But first,
Get ready to go to Megan on screen 4.
is here with a star of both stage and screen. Megan?
Thank you, Jeremy. Megan Wolf, culture correspondent. And today I have a guest who starred in everything from Shakespeare
Right, go to Blunderclatch on screen 3 when she says his name.
by none other than Lawrence Blunderclatch. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my dear, I do hope you believe me when I tell you. I do hope that being here today is among
Switch to 2 for the wide now.
May I say, having you here with us is among ours. May I say.
Right, now just try and stay on whoever's talking.
Latest movie, which is called The Medicated.
The Medicated? Yes.
Wow, what was that like?
Yes. Well, as I said to Peter, Peter Jensen, the director. Do you know him? Peter Jensen. He's a wonderful chap.
Give us a look at Megan's reaction. Lovely. Now back to Thunder Twat.
I said to Peter, what a wild ride this has been. What a wild ride this has been. I really meant that. Megan?
Wow, that is fantastic. And am I right in saying that the character you play in this movie is quite an academic one?
Absolutely right. A scientist. Absolutely
Was that
right.
a challenge
A
at all?
scientist. What exactly are you implying? What exactly are you? But seriously, yes, you're right. It was a complete departure from my last starring role when I played Sergeant Brock Rockman in Bullet Man. You'll remember that was a true story. You'll remember that one soldier's fight for a love that surpasses all others. A love, of course, for freedom. A love, of course. I think it's grossed over $1 billion, but I think it's grossed over. Obviously, who's counting?
It's a role that saw you scoop 2 Best Actor awards, if I remember correctly.
It's so sweet of you to mention it. But I really am not in it for the awards. Those 3 little statues do take pride of place on my mantelpiece.
With all the others, I'm sure. If you're not doing it for the awards, what is it then that drives you? What is it then that drives you?
That is a beautiful question.
Get back to who's talking.
Not easy to answer, question, Megan. And not easy to answer. Like you, I'm afraid. Cut me. I'm afraid. And I will bleed. And I will bleed. That's how it feels. Often. Doesn't it? That's how it feels. Doesn't it? Bleeding. Doesn't it? Giving. Bleeding. Suffering. Giving. For one's audience. Suffering. For one's audience. I suppose in the end I do it for the difference it makes. I do it for the people that I inspire. I do it for the people that I inspire. But most of all, I think I do it for the positive change that I can bring about in the world.
And today, of course, we're in for some real change, it looks like, in the coming few months. What do you make of this historic election result?
Well, now you're asking. Historic election result. Indeed. Historic is the word. Indeed. Historic is the word. Difficult, isn't it? Very difficult. Difficult, isn't it? Very difficult. I've always been quite clear that when it comes to politics, one should always strive not fuck things up.
Shit, he swore. Oh, well, don't worry, he won't do it again. Shit, he did it again. Okay, don't panic. I'll explain how to deal with swearing at the break.
Medicated, which opens next week.
Right, they've swapped the shot of Jeremy on screen 1 for a VT of the movie clip. You'll get a countdown on the screen, but I'll just let Megan cue you in.
My character, Dr. Lance Hemlock, is faced with a decision that could affect humanity's very survival.
Exciting stuff. Let's take a look. Exciting stuff. Let's take a look.
Cool, looks like Blunderclash is losing it in the studio, but we ain't got time for that. There's more interference coming. It's a bit trickier this time, mate. Use that little flashing joystick to the left of the slider, and as the frequency changes, match it to the white bit by gently pushing the stick to the right.
It's not your fault.
You think I don't know that?
Get the speed right.
We mustn't.
Dr. Lance to you, Miss Flanagan. Miss Flanagan.
Jubbly, mate.
Good for you, baby.
Next, we're going to change the amplitude. Same as last time, but this time, move the joystick up. Upwards, mate, upwards.
Told me, but I didn't listen. Told me. I'm drowning, Lance, she said.
Need to see this.
Right, now let's match it back by going downwards.
The virus. The sterility. This formula. This is the key.
Yes. Bloody perfect, mate.
We have to ask ourselves.
At the end of the clip, you'll want to play another ad. Remember to use the clock at the top to count you in. Right, I guess I better explain how to deal with bleeping out swear words. As you've probably noticed, the broadcast screen, here, is about 2 seconds behind the master screen, here. When someone says a naughty word, the bleep button lights up, like this. 2 seconds later, you'll hear that swear word going out on the broadcast, and you need to hold down the censor button for as long as the swear word lasts. It can take a bit of practice getting used to hearing 2 things at once. Just stay calm and you'll get it. And if you can't tell when to bleep, just above the button, you'll literally be able to see the sound scrolling by. All you've got to do is hold it down while the red bit is over the red line. Simple. Of course, if you do it by eye, you'll have to take your eye off the screens. That's why real professionals do it by ear. Most people like to have the volume of the broadcast screen a little bit below the master screen. Let's set it now.
Send you your first 3 issues.
As you turn it up, you'll hear the advert getting louder. Good. You're set to start censoring. Like I say, it takes a little practice, but I'll try and help you through it, and soon we'll have you bleeping like a pro. Remember, button lights up, count 1, 2, and hold it down.
Free. That's right. Absolutely.
Remember to select screen 1 now that you've got the feed. Don't wait for the broadcast to go live, that's too late. You can use the vision mixing buttons on the left to select the screen you want.
Seriously?
Cadworth. 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back. And I'm told we can now go live to Advance headquarters, where the 2 leaders, Peter Clement and Julia Salisbury, are about to make their acceptance address.
Oh shit, he's pissed.
Shall I start?
Go for it, Pat.
Shall I start? Okay, well, thank you all for coming, and, well, where do I start? What a day.
They said we couldn't do
They
it.
certainly did.
They used every dirty, low-down, lying, southern bastard trick they had against us. But you, the people, you saw right through their shite.
I'm sorry about the language there.
Sorry about that. I've had a couple of celebratory pints. It makes me coarser than a granny's fanny.
Memorably put.
Nailed it.
But to be honest, who can blame Peter for celebrating? Throughout the campaign, you've heard us say that Advance are not a political party. A party is what you have when things are going well. When the country is suffering, you don't need a party. You need a team. A team that can change things. But today is day 1 of a new future. A better, fairer future. So perhaps we should all be celebrating.
Except for the rich. For them, the party's over. They shouldn't be celebrating. They should be putting their shitting pants on and opening their dusty checkbooks.
Again, colourfully put, but not inaccurate. Before we came out here to address the nation, we used our executive powers to pass the Assets and Wealth Act. Working with the tax office, we have produced a definitive list of every person in the country with wealth into the millions.
You know this sort of... Probably you rather you don't. Because the likes of you and me are not welcome in their gated community.
Tomorrow, we will be introducing a sweeping reform of the tax system in this country. No more hiding wealth offshore, no more trust funds or creative accounting. A simpler, fairer, unavoidable set of tax laws.
So all you bastard public school snobs have got nowhere to hide. And earlier today, we revoked your passports. You want them back? You want to leave like you threatened before the election? That's fine. But first, you're going to pay up. You're going to pay back.
Advance are going to turn this country from a nation of warring individuals into a team. To properly fund health and education. To raise the living standards of us all.
The pundits said we'd have to raise billions. But you'll see when we've reclaimed what's ours, that's absolute ferret shite. So to you posh twats.
The people who pay you a pittance to serve them drinks in their private clubs. The people whose children you raise.
So they've got time to get even fucking richer.
Advance have this to say to you.
It ends today.
We are coming for your sports cars and your mansions and your vineyards.
It ends today.
We will put the wealth of this country back where it should have always been. In the hands of the people who created it.
It ends today.
Yes, it ends today. And tomorrow, we'll start making it fair again. Just like we promised we would.
And until then, ladies and gents, I suggest we all get pissed.
I can't argue with that. Thank you for your time.
Well, an interesting acceptance speech there from the leaders of Advance. And our apologies for the fruity language. Hopefully we've got that bleeped out for you in time. If not, someone's going to be in trouble. So, as the country braces itself for new government, that's all from us this evening at the National Nightly News. We'll be back tomorrow with full coverage of the first day under Advance. I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Have a peaceful night. Have a peaceful...
And we're out. Good job, everybody. Send again tomorrow. Call times are on the board. Send again tomorrow. Call times are on the board. So...
Right, looks like you've got it now. Thanks for all the help, mate. I've got to go. Ferry's about to leave. Probably won't be coming back. Job's yours, mate. Good luck.
I'll see you tomorrow night.
Not going for a drink?
No, got a date.
Lucky you. Try not to get murdered.
Brown cushions, pink cushions. You've got a grey sofa. We've got a great sofa. In a grey, a brown, a pink...
When the programme's finished, you'll get a broadcast report. It's 3 pages. This first page shows you how well the broadcast went. Each sequence and an overall grade. Remember, grades mean bonuses, and they keep the boss happy. If you want to know more about how it went, select more info. If not, select continue to move to the next page. Right, this is the important page. It tells you how much you're going to get paid and how much wealth you have overall. That bollocks at the bottom shows you the financial state of our main advertisers. But you don't own any fucking shares, you're a cleaner for God's sake, so why would you care? This is the last page and it tells you the state of the world, tells you how well the government's doing, and down the bottom there, this one's important, tells you what Channel 1 currently thinks of you. In other words, what the boss thinks. This is where you can have a quick look back at what you've done and how it looked to the public. There's 3 sections: broadcast, rushes and adverts. Let's start with broadcast. Pop in there now. Over on the left, that's all the broadcasts that you've done. Choose any one of them and select load tape. Once it's finished loading, you can use the rewind and the fast forward at the bottom there to help you get to the bit you want to see.
Well, in a few moments, we'll be going live to tonight's...
Right, now let's take a look at the rushes. Right, this is the rushes room. It's pretty simple. The 4 screens you can see, they're going to show you the 4 signals you got from the studio during the actual broadcast. Difference is you can mute any combination of them, so you can have a listen to the stuff you weren't allowed to show. Select the broadcast and give it a go, and when you're done listening to the backstage secrets, hit back. So I can get back to my guests. First of all, let's get the power on. Come on, mate, on your left, the plugs and stuff. You need to get at least the bottom 4 plugs on. Right, let's load up the adverts. You know, load the tapes under the desk, look down. You might want to have a bit of a think about it. Your decisions have consequences, don't they? Right, you can see they finally got the old headline system up and working again, and the vision mixer's already in headline mode because headlines always come at the start. It's really simple, mate. These 2 buttons at the bottom of the vision mixer, you can see they now have A and B on them, and they're to help you pick image A on the left bottom screen here, or image B on the right bottom screen here. It's really simple. This little clock here will count down the number of seconds you have to make your decision. Now you're in auto headline mode, so if you don't bother to pick a photo before that clock runs out, the machine's just going to pick one at random for you. I just want to say one more thing, mate. The pictures you choose to show of these people, well, that's how the public is going to perceive them, and that's going to affect their lives. So like with the adverts, choose carefully. And we're off. Good luck, mate. If I get squirrel, I'll be back in the next break. Yeah, I'm coming, darling.
Snuggle, Alex.
That's the bastard.
Yeah, I wouldn't get one of those. My friend Janet says theirs gets really hot.
Is this Janet who thinks dogs have their own secret language?
Yeah, the one that mistrusts the moon. 10 seconds, everybody.
Not the best source of consumer advice, then.
Don't blame me when it explodes. Going in 5, 4, 3.
It's time to go over to Jeremy Donaldson for tonight's National.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main headlines tonight. Destination unknown. At the end of Advance's first full week in office, we ask exactly who's leading this charge. Tonight, I'll be discussing what the new future might hold with a leading economist and radical free thinker, with the country's wealth creators in a state of panic, and unfavourable rumblings already heard from overseas. I'll be asking my guests whether Advance can deliver on even a fraction of their manifesto promises. Out with the old, Remington's Fist have appointed Sophia Remington as their new CEO. The following photo, taken from our archive, gives us a sense of this influential young firebrand who, at the tender age of 23, becomes the youngest female CEO in history. Sophia Remington has always impressed. She was top of her class at university and graduated with the highest honours, immediately being asked back to lecture. The markets have responded favourably to Sophia's appointment, the stocks rising 30 points in light of the announcement. In her first press conference this afternoon, Sophia announced a children's toy named Mr. Snagglehouse. Sophia promises it will be all the rage this Christmas, but concerns have been raised about the product's safety, making a splash. Intrepid scientist Dr. David Wong and marine biologist Ingrid Swarsborg-Horgensford have today set off to explore Dante's taint. The recently discovered cave system was previously thought unreachable, but thanks to a new breakthrough in underwater flower technology, the pair hope to successfully reach the imposing central cavern and the undiscovered plant species it contains. This is, of course, only the latest in a series of successful expeditions for this unlikely pairing. In a joint statement about the dangers their team might face, the pair stated, "We will face the plentiful challenges together like we always have." Playing the field, Rumours abound that sporting legend Johnny Hamsleeves is snapped leaving Bush, one of the capital's hottest clubs. The footballer was caught while out celebrating being named Sports Personality of the Year last week, as reported by this very programme. Johnny is seen here with socialite and performance artist Tiffany Lamore, whose recent show, Snatched Inside My Snatch, has kept her firmly in the public eye. Could romance be on the cards for these two budding A-listers? And Griever's bodily charm. With Advance promising a radical new position in crime, how afraid should we actually be? I'll be going live around the country to talk with people who've seen the criminal justice system from every perspective, with more and more powers passing to the police and less oversight. Are we using an advanced-shaped sledgehammer to crack a nut? All that, a mega move for the group of young actors already experiencing the positive side of the new Assets and Wealth Act firsthand. They'll be talking and performing later. That's all coming up on tonight's National Nightly News. In the wake of the government's swift enactment of the Assets and Wealth Act, we're talking about Advance's first week in office and what the new future holds. Joining me are Katie Brightman, a leading economist, and Alan James, author of Alan James is Right, The Free Man's Guide to Waking Up. Alan, the government certainly haven't dragged their heels on delivering some of the legislation they promised. But what does the Wealth Act mean for us?
Nothing, Jeremy. We're still vassal slaves, we're just in prettier cages.
A confident dismissal there. Katie Brightman, do you agree?
I'm afraid I don't, no. I think that Advance have realised that the current economic system of unlimited, unending growth is untenable, so they're changing things up.
There I agree with you. They're moving to the next steps in the grand plan.
Grand plan, Alan?
It's all in my book. Alan James is right, Jeremy. We're to become the great herd. Ignorant, sterile and short-lived. That's what they want.
Or perhaps Advance have just realised that if we carry on the way we are, we will destroy ourselves and this planet in a mad orgy of consumption, if you'll excuse the colourful metaphor.
Yes, orgy is the right word. Only it'll be the overlords having an orgy on our poor broken backs. It's all in my book. Alan James is...
Shamelessly self-promoting? Katie, how do you think the rest of the world will respond to this new approach?
I think they're watching carefully. Advance are the most disruptive threat that the world powers have faced since the last Great War.
Yes, Katie's right. War is inevitable.
Thank you, but that isn't...
And this will not be a war like we've ever seen before. We're talking millions of deaths. We're talking high-tech weapons that can level entire cities. We're talking...
Out of the wrong orifices?
Mock me all you like, Jeremy, but when they murder your parents and they poison your food and they take you away to their camps for hypno-brainwashing, we'll be laughing then.
That might be a great way to sell books, Alan, but you know full well that isn't going to happen in a democracy.
Democracy is dead.
Yes, Advance are radical, and change is always frightening, but the truth is that the Wealth and Assets Act has made more than 90% of the population wealthier and is on target to produce a permanent end to poverty.
Bollocks! What this young lady doesn't understand, Jeremy, is that these are the same people. Maybe they've rebranded, but it's all a little circus act to keep us from seeing the tyrant behind the curtain.
That's where you're wrong, Alan. For a start, they've mobilised the youth vote like we've never seen before.
You say mobilise, I call it grooming. The grooming of an entire generation to walk happily into eternal bondage. They're like psychic paedophiles.
But based on the facts, Katie... What are your predictions?
The Assets and Wealth Act is only the first step. Advance now have a historic budgetary surplus, and as well as properly funding our public services, they're already funneling unprecedented amounts into scientific research in the arts.
Or, as I call them in my book, Frankenscience and opiates. Like opiates, see?
Can we get back to the issue at hand, please, Alan?
This is the issue. It's all coming from the water, the chemicals. They're pumping it full of belief juice.
Don't get me wrong, I want to see these changes, but only if they're sustainable. If Advance lose their power after spending half of our GDP on dismantling infrastructure, that could be catastrophic.
The catastrophe is that they're succeeding. They've got us sat here talking about their puppet show.
All right, we're running out of time. Quickly, Alan, what does the future look like to you, Alan?
A bleak space where we've all been figuratively sodomized into submission.
Oh, of course. Katie?
We might be on the eve of a brave new world. God knows we need some change, but we need to be cautious. Let's walk forwards with our eyes open.
Two very different visions of the future there. Alan James, Katie Brightman, thank you for joining me. When we come back, I'll be investigating law and order before Meghan meets some beneficiaries of the Assets and Wealth Act. That's all coming up tonight on the National Nightly News.
1 minute back.
You know, I think they might do some good.
I hope so too, Jeremy.
How much are you being paid by them, then?
Shut the fuck up, Alan. I've never heard so much shit in my life.
Well, we'll see who's full of shit, won't we?
Alan, I can explain it to you, but unfortunately, I can't understand it for you.
Well, I don't know what she meant by that.
Ups and downs to help make things. All right, mate. Christ, I'm absolutely fucking flying, I tell you. How's it going, actually? Fuck it, I don't care. I hate the fucking news. Oh, bloody hell, I love this tune, though. All right, mate. See you later. Bye.
Shit, you will. She's good. You know she is.
I've said a bit of wording. That's all I can do.
10 seconds, everybody.
If that sticks, I'll destroy you.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back. In our second segment, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the state of law and order in our country. Advance have already tasked what they are calling a solutions team to move this serious social problem to the top of the list. Tonight, we go behind the headlines to meet the people who live with the criminal justice system every day of their lives. First up, we have Gregory Judge, a lawyer who sees the problems close up on the front line. Can you hear me, Gregory?
Yes, I've got you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
What's it like on the front line of the hard face of the cold hand of justice?
Well, as you can imagine, Jeremy, we are massively understaffed in this country. We're working every hour we can just to try and cope with the caseloads on our desk.
Which must affect the quality of support you can offer.
Well, we can barely keep up with demand, Jeremy. There just simply isn't enough being done at a systemic level to relieve the problems. We need more support from ministers. We need more support from ministers. What are you doing? We need change at a structural level, Jeremy.
I'm leaving, Greg.
Not a good time, darling.
It never is it? I'll be at my mother's.
Just hang on. Just hang on. The problem isn't a local one, Jeremy. It's nationwide. Just give me 5 minutes. I'm talking to Jeremy Donaldson.
Oh, have you mentioned your affairs?
No. Well, the affairs of the Justice Department that we should be concerned about.
Hello, Mr. Donaldson.
Hello, Mrs. Judge.
We need legislation to relieve the pressure on our public
Sorry
servants.
to interrupt the news, Mr. Donaldson. Can I have a moment to tell my husband I'm leaving?
Yes, I totally understand. Quite the picture of a burdened legal sector there. Gregory Judge, thank you for joining us. Next, I'm joined by Police Chief Constable Bob Peel, a man with a very different perspective on our nation's crime. Do you think there's a problem with the system, Bob?
I'm sure we all do, Jeremy. I am sure we all long for a return to the days when you could safely walk the streets of your community at night, looking in through windows and generally enjoying your neighbours without the risk of being terrorised by some thug with a knife or cough.
So you feel the streets simply aren't safe anymore? Where have we gone wrong, Bob?
Well, that's not a simple question, Jeremy, but I think it all comes down to moral decay. We've diluted our culture and lost touch with what it means to be a citizen of this once great country. Also, as the vicar noted in Sunday's sermon, we probably shouldn't have banned hanging.
And to what do you attribute this moral decay?
Foreigners, gays and gypsies mainly. It's all in the Bible. Look, Leviticus clearly states that... Oh, bugger, hang on a moment. Jeremy, your bloody gimps escaped. Delia, could you give me a little help, please, dear? Delia, could you give me a little help, please, dear? as I was saying, Jesus didn't like immigrants much, did he?
And just to be clear, you think it's the immigrants who are responsible for the moral decay?
Absolutely, Jeremy. Back in your box, Clive. Back in your box. Delia, I really could use a little help with this.
I'm sorry, darling. I was saying the Badgers.
Yes, I'm talking to Jeremy Donaldson. Clive, could you put him back in the box?
Clive, you know it's Wednesday. You go back in your gimmick space.
And whose responsibility is it to make a change, Bob?
Well, it is certainly not the responsibility to be decent, good, white people.
Darling, where's the padlock?
Hold on just a moment.